So hi everyone, it's Matthew McKenzie here again with another carer champion interview. Today we have Maz, who will just have a quick discussion really on the stuff that she works on and outreach into carers, trying to make a difference regarding the caring role, promoting the caring experience, and just breaking down the stigma really of the care situation. Those obviously are my words. I'll let Maz correct me if I'm wrong. But Maz, tell us a bit about yourself, to be honest. For those watching, why should they sort of have an idea or an interest in what you do?
Well, I think it's everyone needs to know what carers do. We're quite a hidden army, but we're getting on with it behind the scenes. But it's important that people understand the barriers and the challenges and the problems that we might face as carers, because everyone could end up as a carer one day. So they need to know.
And and if you don't mind me clarifying, care is quite a loose term, isn't it? It's not basically and correct me, obviously, it's not basically someone paid to care for something. You're talking about the situation where you're, maybe an unpaid carer. Do you want to talk a bit more about that term carer and why it's important to have specific focus on those who are unpaid to provide care?
Yeah, I think with unpaid care, it's something that you don't plan for, something you end up usually falling into, you end up doing for somebody you love or somebody you get on with really well. And yeah, you don't get paid for it.
Hmm.
You do it for love mostly. I do it for love for my family. I'm a
Yeah.
sandwich carer, which is another term that, isn't often well known, as I care for my elderly parents and my adult daughter.
All right. So that makes sense really in regard, and there's a lot of different terminology on the different types of carers out there. Obviously, my 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 background would be like mental health carer, going down to now just supporting, my brothers really. So my caring role is not sort of full on as it used to be, but with the knowledge I've picked up, I still try and promote the focus on the carer's experience. So we've established obviously that you're providing care. But the reason I've got you on this video is you do a lot more than that. I mean, do you want to sort of talk to me about, what support you provide to carers in the sense you don't, I wouldn't say you provide a service, but I suppose in a way where you're promoting the ideals of the caring experience. Would you want to talk a bit more about that?
Yeah, so as a volunteer with Carers UK, I do all I can to promote the work that carers do, to advise others to support them. Also attending the meetings that Carers UK provides, such as the Care for a Cuppers and the Share and Learn, so that I can be there for other carers. The shared experience is so important because quite often what you're going through, someone else has been through and can be there to help and guide you. And to have that peer support, whether it's online or in person, I think is invaluable as an unpaid carer.
Mm. And that's an excellent description. Um, you mentioned peer support. What is that, and why do you think it's important for carers to know about peer support?
I think peer support is supporting another person who's going through the same situation as you or about to face the same challenges as yourself, because knowing that you're not alone really makes a difference. As a carer, you can be very isolated, but
Mm,
to have that peer support means so much. Um, you don't really get that from another source. So to be there for someone who's going through a really difficult time, which quite often carers, their situation can become very difficult. And just being there and knowing that you've got that support makes such a difference.
mm. Do you want to give me like a couple of, well, half a minute, I suppose, on what challenges carers face and why they would try and use the services of Carers UK, especially with the share and learn sessions and the cuppa sessions.
I think there's many varied challenges, but I think mostly it's finding out what's out there, knowing your rights as a carer, um, being able to access services that are important and that can help you as a carer, and yeah, just knowing really that there's things out there because there is plenty of things such as carer centres, local organisations. You've got Carers UK, which is a national organisation, but they're all out there.
Mm.
So it's finding them and using them and knowing really what you can get, which
Yeah,
isn't always available to carers. You have to dig a bit deeper quite often to find it. So if someone else has found something useful and can help and share that with you, that's so important.
definitely. And I certainly agree with that. I've been with Cares UK for a while now, and some of the things, well, all of the things they do have an impact on the caring experience. And I do know of the millions of carers out there, and some don't classify themselves as carers. Some of them might not like the term, but it's so important that they get that support, be referred to that support, and obviously know their rights. I think it was last week or the week before we had the Carers Rights Day. Um, did you manage to do anything on Carers Rights Day, like just promote it, or why do you think Carers Rights Day is so important?
Carers UK held a special Care for a Cuppa meeting with their policy
Okay, yeah,
team, which was to remind us all of our rights, which I think is important because as a carer, you can get so bogged down with the day to day that you forget. So that was good, a really good reminder, and just to be with other carers.
mm,
Some starting their journey, right at the beginning, and some that have been caring for a long time, like myself. But all getting together and reminding ourselves of our rights and sharing our experience.
that's excellent. Just two more questions, really. I don't want to keep you, and you can always ask me a question as well if you want. What sort of things do you feel will be needed for carers? Looking at the situation of carers now, what things do you think will be useful to help carers for the future? And if you're not sure,
Um,
I can throw a few ideas, really.
I think a one-stop shop would be great for carers. Just one place where they could go and get all the information that they need, and also just share their story once, and not have to keep repeating it every time that they
Yeah.
meet a new person, or because that can be really challenging for a carer and really time-consuming and tiring also.
Mm. Yeah, agreed. There's a lot that is very important, I feel, for carers to know. And you've mentioned rights. I do feel even before carers know the rights, they need to know that they are caring. And I think there's a tricky situation when it comes to identity, because
Mm.
without knowing that you're a carer, it's hard to access all the other things that might help you in your role.
Mm.
I also want to end up on the last question. And from your experience of care and continuing onwards, what advice would you want to offer anyone who is about to become a carer or is new to the role? In fact, I'll turn this to another question as well. So, if you can give me an idea of what advice you'd like to give to a new carer, and then I'll move on to the next question.
Well, I'd really advise them to sign up as a member to Carers UK first of all, and to also find out what's available, as we spoke earlier, to them locally, as there are many carers centres groups, charities working in towns and cities where they can access some support. To also reach out for some peer support that we talked about earlier, which is really important. So Carers UK's Care for Cuppers, and maybe their local carer centre runs coffee mornings where they can meet with others. Also to register with their GP as a carer, and to get a carer's assessment of their needs. That's really important. I just feel there's so much out there, and I don't want any carer to feel like they're alone or isolated, because there's nothing worse than that. But yeah, to reach out and just find out what's out there and to take one step at a time, and they'll be okay.
And my final one, so I don't want to keep you too, but I think I mentioned stigma really at the start of this interview. Carers do go for it, but what I think one of the things that cause it is people's perceptions. of the caring role. They may think it's unimportant or easy, or they might feel that it's, the person, they feel that it's not a job, so therefore the person who's providing care isn't working, so they might view them as lazy. What would you say to people who think that way, in regards to that sort of attitude towards carers?
I'd ask them if they'd like to swap places for a day because they would certainly see the other side of it and exactly what we do. The sleepless nights, the paperwork we have to do. I mean, it's a full-time job in itself, really, being a carer, and it's not an easy job. It's one of the most challenging jobs that you can do as a person. And yeah, if they'd like to swap, they would see exactly
Mhm.
how difficult it is.
Yeah, and I agree. There are many challenges. There's also, many positive points. It's not all about the complete struggle, but I do agree there are definitely a lot of hurdles even now, trying to and get more engagement from the NHS. They're developing their long-term plan, and we can only hope that it will include carers. The stuff we can feel coming from the government also needs to include carers, because in a civilized society, I do feel it's so important. People have the opportunity to look after someone, whether it's their family or close friend. That's how I view it, but it's up for debate still, unfortunately. Anyway, I'd like to thank Mads for joining me for the Care Champion interview. She does so much work out there. If you do meet her on online Carers UK chats and groups, say hi. Um, Ask her about her, knowledge should certainly help you on that. So for those watching, I won't disappoint. We'll obviously have more care interviews in the future. I'd say thanks for Maz, and we'll see you again soon.
Thank you, Matthew. Take care.